Katakana is a Japanese syllabary, one component of the Japanese writing system along with hiragana, kanji, and in some cases the Latin script. The word katakana means fragmentary kana, as the katakana characters are derived from components of more complex kanji. Katakana and hiragana are both kana systems. They have corresponding character sets in which each kana, or character, represents one mora. Each kana is either a vowel such as a consonant followed by a vowel such as ka, or n, a nasal sonorant which, depending on the context, sounds either like English m, n, or ng, or like the nasal vowels of Portuguese or French. In contrast to the hiragana syllabary, which is used for those Japanese language words and grammatical inflections which kanji does not cover, the katakana syllabary usage is quite similar to italics in English. Specifically, it is used for transcription of foreign language words into Japanese and the writing of loan words. For emphasis, to represent onomatopoeia, and to write technical and scientific terms, and the names of plants, animals, minerals, and often Japanese companies. Katakana are characterized by short, straight strokes and angular corners, and are the simplest of the Japanese scripts. There are two main systems of ordering katakana, the old-fashioned Irohan ordering, and the more prevalent Gairaigo ordering. Writing system, script. The complete katakana script consists of 48 characters, not counting functional and diacritic marks, 5 nucleus vowels v, 42 core or body syllabagrams cv, consisting of 9 consonants in combination with each of the 5 vowels, of which 3 possible combinations are not canonical, 1 coda consonant c, these are conceived as a 5a-10 grid which inherits its vowel and consonant order from Sanskrit practice. In vertical text contexts, which used to be the default case, the grid is usually presented as 10 columns by 5 rows, with vowels on the right-hand side and accent on top. Unlike other syllabaries, katakana glyphs in the same row or column do not share common graphic characteristics. 3 of the syllabagrams to be expected, yi, and wu, may have been used idiosyncratically with varying glyphs, but never became conventional in any language and are not present at all in modern Japanese. The 50-sound table is often amended with an extra character, the nasal stopper florin cubed. This can appear in several positions, most often next to the N signs or, because it developed from one of many hiragana, below the U column. It may also be appended to the vowel row or the A column. Here, it is shown in a table of its own. The script includes 2 diacritic marks that change the initial sound of a syllabagram. Both appear mutually exclusive at the upper right of the base character. A double dot, called dakitan, indicates a primary alteration, most often it voices the consonant, ka g, za z, ta d and ha b. Secondary alteration, where possible, is shown by a circular hand dakitan, ha p. Diacritics are a comparatively new feature of the script, only becoming mandatory in the Japanese writing system in the second half of the 20th century. Their application is strictly limited in proper writing systems, but may be more extensive in academic transcriptions. Furthermore, some characters may have special semantics when used in smaller size after a normal one, but this does not make the script truly bicameral. The layout of the Gairaigo table promotes a systematic view of kana syllabagrams as being always pronounced with the same single consonant followed by a vowel. This is, however, not the case today and also never has been. Therefore existing schemes for the romanization of Japanese either are based on the systematic nature of the script, for example Nonskia florin t, or they apply some Western graphotactics, usually the English one, to the common Japanese pronunciation of the kana signs, for example Hepburnskia florin chi. Both approaches conceal the fact, though, that many consonant-based katakana signs, especially those canonically ending in u, can be used in coda position 2, where the vowel is not pronounced, or only as a weak schwa. Japanese, syllabary and orthography, of the 48 katakana syllabagrams described above, only 46 are used in modern Japanese, and one of these is preserved for only a single use. We and we are pronounced as vowels in modern Japanese and are therefore obsolete, being supplanted by I and E respectively. O is now used only as a particle, and is normally pronounced the same as vowel O. As a particle, it is usually written in hiragana, and the katakana form, a florin squared, is uncommon. A small version of the katakana for ya, you or yo may be added to katakana ending in I. This changes the I vowel sound to a glide to a, u or o, for example a florin pound. Addition of the small y kana is called yon. Small versions of the 5-vowel kana are sometimes used to represent trailing off sounds, but in katakana they are more often used in yon-like extended digraphs designed to represent phonemes not present in Japanese. Examples include a florin, a section in a florin, a radian per square second, florin cubed, a chenji, and a pound, and a florin, a pound, an AC florin, sha florin, a accent. Wikipedia. A character called a sokyun, which is visually identical to a small to a florin, indicates that the following consonant is geminated. This is represented in romaji by doubling the consonant that follows the sokyun. For example, compare Japanese a micro Osaka hill with a micro a florin Osaka author. Geminated consonants are common in transliterations of foreign loan words. For example, English bed is represented as a florin unregistered trademark, a florin a florin. The sokyun also sometimes appears at the end of utterances, where it denotes a glottal stop. However, it cannot be used to double the na, ni, nu, ni, no syllables consonants to double e's, the singular n is added in front of the syllable. The sokyun may also be used to approximate a non-native sound. Bark is written a florin, a florin. Mac is a florin, a florin. Both katakana and hiragana usually spell native long vowels with the addition of a second vowel kana, but katakana uses a vowel extender mark, called a kaonpu, in foreign loan words. This is a short line following the direction of the text, horizontal for yokogaki, and vertical for tatagaki. For example, a florin 1/4, a florin maru is the gairaigo for email taken from the English word mail. The a florin 1/4 lengthens the e. There are some exceptions, such as a florin 1/4, a 1/2 a, or a plus or minus a florin 1/4 a currency, katai, where Japanese words written in katakana use the elongation mark too. Standard and voiced iteration marks are written in katakana as a florin 1/2 and a florin 3/4 respectively. Usage. In modern Japanese, katakana is most often used for transcription of words from foreign languages, called gairaigo. For example, television is written a florin. Similarly, katakana is usually used for country names, foreign places, and foreign personal names. For example, the United States is usually referred to as am florin America, rather than in its 8G kanji spelling of oek plus or minus cubed or wish America. Katakana are also used for onomatopoeia, words used to represent sounds for example, a florin cubed, a florin cubed, the ding-dong sound of a doorbell. Technical and scientific terms, such as the names of animal and plant species and minerals, are also commonly written in katakana. Homo sapiens, as a species, is written a florin, rather than its kanji a. Katakana are also often, but not always, used for transcription of Japanese company names. For example, Suzuki is written a to the first AA, and Toyota is written a florin W. Katakana are also used for emphasis, especially on signs, advertisements, and hoardings. For example, it is common to see a cubed cocoa, a florin y gomi, or a florin magan. Words the writer wishes to emphasize in a sentence are also sometimes written in katakana, mirroring the European usage of italics. Pre-World War II official documents mix katakana and kanji in the same way that hiragana and kanji are mixed in modern Japanese texts, that is, katakana were used for okuragana and particles such as y or o. Katakana were also used for telegrams in Japan before 1988, and for computer systems before the introduction of multi-byte characters in the 1980s. Most computers in that era used katakana instead of kanji or hiragana for output. Although words borrowed from ancient Chinese are usually written in kanji, Loan words from modern Chinese dialects which are borrowed directly use katakana rather than the Sino-Japanese oniomi readings. The very common Chinese loanword ramen, written in katakana as a florin w florin 1/4 of florin cubed in Japanese, is rarely written with its kanji. There are rare instances where the opposite has occurred, with kanji forms created from words originally written in katakana. An example of this is a cubed of florin 1/4 of florin a florin 1/4 kaha, which can be alternatively written as cc squared. This kanji usage is occasionally employed by coffee manufacturers or coffee shops for novelty. Katakana are used to indicate the oniomi of a kanji in a kanji dictionary. For instance, the kanji a has a Japanese pronunciation, written in hiragana as a squared ahito, as well as a Chinese-derived pronunciation, written in katakana as a florin cubed jin. Katakana was sometimes used instead of hiragana as furigana to give the pronunciation of a word written in Roman characters, or for a foreign word, which is written as kanji for the meaning, but intended to be pronounced as the original. Katakana are also sometimes used to indicate words being spoken in a foreign or otherwise unusual accent. For example, in a manga, the speech of a foreign character or a robot may be represented by a cubed a florin konnichiwa instead of the more typical hiragana aaa. Some Japanese personal names are written in katakana. This was more common in the past, hence elderly women often have katakana names. It is very common to write words with difficult-to-read kanji and katakana. This phenomenon is often seen with medical terminology. For example, in the word CSH registered trademark ESHC section hifuka, the second kanji, ish, is considered difficult to read, and thus the word hifuka is commonly written CSH registered trademark a florin C section or a florin C section, mixing kanji and katakana. Similarly, the difficult-to-read kanji such as C unregistered trademark A-gan are often written in katakana or hiragana. Katakana is also used for traditional musical notations, as in the tozanraya of shakuhachi, and in sankyoku ensembles with koto, shamisen and shakuhachi. Some instructors for Japanese as a foreign language introduce katakana after the students have learnt to read and write sentences in hiragana without difficulty and know the rules. Most students who have learned hiragana do not have great difficulty in memorizing katakana as well. Other instructors introduce the katakana first, because these are used with loan words. This gives students a chance to practice reading and writing kana with meaningful words. This was the approach taken by the influential American linguistics scholar Eleanor Hertz Jordan in Japanese, the written language. Ainu. Katakana is commonly used to write the Ainu language by Japanese linguists. In Ainu language katakana usage, the consonant that comes at the end of a syllable is represented by a small version of a katakana that corresponds to that final consonant and with an arbitrary vowel. For instance, up is represented by a esh. Ainu also uses three-hand Akuten modified katakana, a lesh, and a florin esh or a florin esh. In Unicode, the katakana phonetic extensions block exists for Ainu language support. These characters are used for the Ainu language only. Taiwanese. Taiwanese kana is a katakana-based writing system once used to write Holo Taiwanese, when Taiwan was under Japanese control. It functioned as a phonetic guide for Chinese characters, much like furigana in Japanese or tsuyanfu in Chinese. There were similar systems for other languages in Taiwan as well, including Hakka and Formosan languages. Unlike Japanese or Ainu, Taiwanese kana are used similarly to the Z to the first yen fa hao characters, with kana serving as initials, vowel medials and consonant finals, marked with tonal marks. A dot below the initial kana represented aspirated consonants, and a florin, a micron, a 1/2, a and a with a superpositional bar represented sounds found only in Taiwanese. Okinawan. Katakana is used as a phonetic guide for the Okinawan language, unlike the various other systems to represent Okinawan, which use hiragana with extensions. The system was devised by the Okinawa Center of Language Study of the University of the Ryukyus. it uses many extensions and yaon to show the many non-Japanese sounds of Okinawan. Table of katakana, for modern digraph editions that are used mainly to transcribe other languages, see transcription into Japanese. This is a table of katakana together with their Hepburn romanization and rough IPA transcription for their use in Japanese. Katakana with dakitan or hand dakitan follow the gairaigo kana without them. Characters xie and tsu are florin, and so are 1/2 and n, g, a florin cubed, look very similar in print except for the slant and stroke shape. These differences in slant and shape are more prominent when written with an ink brush. A gray background indicates obsolete characters. Notes: ABC theoretical combinations yi and wu are aa on usada. ABC the characters in positions we and we are aa obsolete in modern Japanese, and have been replaced by a currency and a. The character o, in practice normally pronounced o, is preserved in only one use, as a particle. This is normally written in hiragana, so katakana a florin squared sees only limited use. See gairaigo and the articles on each character for details. A, B, C, D, E. The A florin and a florin kana are primarily used for AA etymologic spelling when the unvoiced equivalents of florin and a florin undergo a sound change and become voiced when they occur in the middle of a compound word. In other cases, the identically pronounced A and A are used instead. A florin and a florin can never begin a word, and they are not common in katakana, since the concept of rindaku does not apply to transcribed foreign words. One of the major uses of katakana. History. Katakana was developed in the 9th century by Buddhist monks by taking parts of hiragana characters as a form of shorthand, hence this kana is so called kata. For example, ka comes from the left side of ka. The adjacent table shows the origins of each katakana. The red markings of the original Chinese character eventually became each corresponding symbol. Recent findings by Yoshinori Kobayashi, professor of Japanese at Tokushima Bunri University, suggest the possibility that the katakana-like annotations used in reading guide marks may have originated in 8th century Korea possibly Silla and then introduced to Japan through Buddhist texts. Stroke order. The following table shows the method for writing each katakana character. It is arranged in the traditional way, beginning top right and reading columns down. The numbers and arrows indicate the stroke order and direction respectively. Computer encoding. In addition to fonts intended for Japanese text and Unicode catch-all fonts, many fonts intended for Chinese and Korean also include katakana. Half-width kana. In addition to the usual full-width display forms of characters, katakana has a second form, half-width. The half-width forms were originally associated with the JISX0201 encoding. Although their display form is not specified in the standard, in practice they were designed to fit into the same rectangle of pixels as Roman letters to enable easy implementation on the computer equipment of the day. This space is narrower than the square space traditionally occupied by Japanese characters, hence the name half-width. In this scheme, diacritics are separate characters. When originally devised, the half-width katakana were represented by a single byte each, as in JISX0201, again in line with the capabilities of contemporary computer technology. In the late 1970s, 2-byte character sets such as JISX0208 were introduced to support the full range of Japanese characters, including katakana, hiragana and kanji. Their display forms were designed to fit into an approximately square array of pixels, hence the name full-width. For backwards compatibility, separate support for half-width katakana has continued to be available in modern multi-byte encoding schemes such as Unicode, by having two separate blocks of characters, one displayed as usual katakana, the other displayed as half-width katakana. Although often said to be obsolete, in fact the half-width katakana are still used in many systems and encodings. For example, the titles of mini-discs can only be entered in ASCII or half-width katakana, and half-width katakana are commonly used in computerized cash register displays, on shop receipts, and Japanese digital television and DVD subtitles. Several popular Japanese encodings such as EUCJP, Unicode and Shift-JIS have half-width katakana code as well as full-width. By contrast, ISO 2022-JP has no half-width katakana, and is mainly used over SMTP and NNTP. Unicode. Katakana was added to the Unicode standard in October 1991 with the release of version 1.0. The Unicode block for katakana is U+30AO. U+30FF. Encoded in this block along with the katakana are the Nakaduro word separation middle dot, the Ka-on vowel extender, the katakana iteration marks, and a ligature of a cubed affluent sometimes used in vertical writing. Half-width equivalents to the usual full-width katakana also exist in Unicode. These are encoded within the half-width and full-width forms block, starting at U+FF65 and ending at U+FF9F. This block also includes the half-width dakutan and hand dakutan. The full-width versions of these characters are found in the hiragana block. Circled katakana are code points U+32DO to U+32FE in the enclosed CJK letters and months block. A circled affluent cubed is not included. Extensions to katakana for phonetic transcription of Ainu and other languages were added to the Unicode standard in March 2002 with the release of version 3.2. The Unicode block for katakana phonetic extensions is U+31FO. U+31FF, historic and variant forms of Japanese kana characters were added to the Unicode standard in October 2010 with the release of version 6.0. The Unicode block for kana supplement is U+1BO100. U+1BOFF. Gray areas indicate non-assigned code points. See also, Japanese phonology, historical kana usage, romaji, gairaigo, Tadaiji Fujimonka, oldest example of kanji text with katakana annotations, references. External links, Katakana Unicode chart, Japanese, including practice kana links, at DMOZ, Learn Katakana with audio slideshow, Kana teacher, practicing Learn Katakana online. Japanese dictionary with katakana, hiragana and kanji on screen keyboards, animated katakana stroke orders with audio.